Well, hello, Inga.
How are you?
Good, except I do have one bit of a trouble.
What is that?
Why in the world do we have to dress like each other? I mean, I see you every day.
I know, it's kind of embarrassing. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm just can't even believe it.
Better? Okay, well, you're going to be learning this a little bit later on in the discussion, that when I am old and want to dress like the fashionista, Julie Brubaker.
That is me.
And wear pants with holes in the knees, just let me.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I am Inga with EPAGA Home Care.
And I am Julie with EPAGA Home Care.
And we just wanted to introduce ourselves really quick and let you know a little bit about who we are, what we're doing, and then turn it over to our guest speaker today.
Yes, yes, we're so excited. The mic is actually on, not for you guys, but for our Facebook Live. And so that's what's going on there. So yeah, we are on purpose.
Yes, it is serving a purpose for sure.
Right,
so.
Right.
Well, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about the podcast that we've started doing. It's not been, quite a year.
Oh.
We have 40 episodes out now.
Yeah.
Our podcast is called The Caregiving Podcast.
The Caregiving Podcast.
Yes, and we are the #1 senior care podcast, according to our mothers.
And they're here,
who are
too.
Both here in the audience.
So they support us very much. Yeah, so we do. We have a library of 40 topics on elders. Everything from end of life to hospice to money situations to family dynamics. We all have those. So there's a list over here, and you can get us on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and then if you want to see this, we are actually on YouTube, on the Caregiving Podcast channel. And that's where this will actually be placed after the video will be there. If you ever need to see it or want to share it with somebody, after you have heard Jolene, you'll understand why you need to tell everybody about what our message today.
And if any of you wonder what a podcast is, because Julie still wonders.
I still figured out.
It's a program that is made available for digital download. So basically you can get it on your smartphone, you can get it on your computer, if you have like a Roku TV that has a YouTube channel. So lots of options, and we do encourage you, if you have questions afterwards, reach out to us at any point in time. Our whole goal always from the time that we started this business is just to put education out into the community. Yeah. And there might be something in that library of episodes that really hits home to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so check that out. Let us know if you have questions. Another cool thing that we're doing, we love what we do so much with home care that a couple years ago, just right before COVID, we actually turned our business model into a franchise. And so we are offering franchises right now throughout the state of Montana. We actually have a branch or a franchise office that's open in Helena. They are just crushing it. They are having so much fun and making such an impact in that community. And very shortly, we will be opening in Missoula. So just so you know.
Yes, so the next places we want to jump into are Great Falls, Bozeman, and Billings. Yeah. And then we're going to get really wild and get outside of Montana. So that's where we're at with that. And we are EPAGA Home Care. We were Agape Home Care since 2007. We have been here in the Valley for that long. And agape, as you know, is the Christian definition for love. So what is a better way to state what you do is agape love for one another. But in 2018, when we started our franchise business, we could not trademark Agape Home Care. So what we wanted to do, and we spent many, many days banging our head against the wall, banging Inga's head against the wall, and we finally just put agape backwards. So we are now EPAGA, because now we say that we're a reflection of God's love. So that is why we're the same people, we're the same everything, but we just had to make that technical distinction. So that is important.
Yes.
There are some forms. We will be taking questions, actually, when Jolene, she's very interactive. So write down a question, and during this, you can hand it to her, and she will read it to you. And we will actually have some random door giveaways. So if I yell out door prize, come see me at the end, and we'll give you your door prize, okay? And they're cool, so you better ask questions.
Yes. Absolutely. That is fantastic. One thing that we do with the podcast is it's a pretty structured format, and we always start our podcast off with just a little bit of discussion on how everybody's doing, and then we go into a Bible verse. And Julie picked a verse for us today that I would like to share with you. This is Mark chapter 12, verse 30-31. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all of your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these.
It's so fitting for today's message. Yes. We also have a couple of people to thank. First off, we got a grant through MTGEC. They're with the University of Montana. And so with those monies, this is actually our third Loving Through Alzheimer's. We've done it for 3 years in a row. There is, the second one is on YouTube as well if you want to go back. We had other speakers last year, so that is available to you. Also, we've got our tech crew back in the back. Alyssa is the one that's standing, and then there's Bailey and Ty. Alyssa is the one that just always makes us look spectacular. And then Kevin's in the corner. He is the silent member of the ownership of EPAGA Home Care, and he just tolerates this. So we thank him for that. Boy.
You know, and we weren't going to do a bio on Jolene because she is very humble pie. But man, you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah.
She's just, this will be probably, I think, the third or fourth time that I've been able to listen to you present, and I just can't say enough about it.
Yeah.
So I guess we're done talking, and we're going to go ahead and hand it over to Jolene. So please give her a warm welcome.
Yay!
Hello. All right, give you a little background about myself. I've actually been presenting and caring for caregivers and people with Alzheimer's for over 20 years, and I did not start when I was 16, but I always think that's a compliment when people think I did. And I also am presently living in Iowa with my parents on their farm doing the caregiving. And so my presentation is probably going to be a bit different today. It's not going to be in my norm. I'm going to see where you all want to roll. That's why the questions are so important. And interestingly enough, I know so much, correct? 25 years I've given my life to this. And when it becomes your own parents, it's a completely different ballgame. And you kind of professionally step out and emotionally step in. So I am going to be completely honest with you today. You can ask me any question you want to ask me. I'm going to be also frank and blunt. So that might hit you a little hard, but that's just how it rolls. I think we've got to be honest about how this journey plays out. All right? Okay, so to begin, I would like you to go back to your childhood. I know it's way back for you. Do it anyway. I would like you to go back to your childhood and think of something from your childhood that makes you feel good when you think about it. Anything from your childhood, you're like, whew, that was super fun. I want to do that again. Mine was hay rides, and last fall I figured out where the last hay rack was in the neighborhood, and I said, can I borrow that? And it was not easy to find straw bales. But we did, and we went for a hayride. But the tractor, right, the sound of the tractor and the group, it was all family, of course, just having a bunch of people and just ricketing along my parents' property was delightful. So that's one of my fond childhood memories. Anyone else would like to share one of your fond childhood memories? When you think about it, you're like, so fun. If you don't have any, I'm going to call you, wow, really? Don't have any fond childhood memories? Yes? Nice, making snow sculptures. Wow, just the two of you. Wow, horses. Can you imagine a horse? I can't even draw a horse, let alone sculpt a horse. Well done. Yes? Was she the alto or was she soprano? Oh, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. In my world, it matters. But see, notice in her world, just like jingle bells and we're good, or, Noel and we're good, and excellent. Singing Christmas music. Yes? Excellent. Uphill both ways. No, I'm just teasing. So what color was your bike? You don't have any idea the color of your bike? No. Did you have a banana seat? Way older than that. Okay. Wowza. But did you hear the detail? I thought there was going to be a ton more detail because she knew the hot street, over the field, through the cemetery first. Cemetery. Only during the day, I hope. Okay, yes. 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 She's implying that it's not here, not warm here. In the pool in your backyard. We're all a little jealous. Can anybody feel spoiled? We're like, I would like to swim in the back of my yard in a pool. Lovely. Yes. And this is fond. Right. So and when you say that too, the gravel road, right? When you grow up on gravel roads, you don't think there's any other way. And when you scrape your knee, you're like, suck it up and deal with it. It's part of the bicycle, right? Yeah, for sure. Any more else? No? So my question is, would you have thought of that moment right this minute had I not asked you to? Would you have thought about building the horse sculpture right this minute? Would you have thought about that trek across the cemetery over the fence down to... It takes someone or something else to trigger a moment in our memory. And when you see a banana bicycle, my guess is that moment comes out in your memory. When you see kids playing at the pool, that moment comes out in your memory. When you sing a Christmas song, your mama comes out in your memory. So people with Alzheimer's, they have these moments just like you and I in their memory, but they can't pull out of the darkness a moment. They can't just talk about like what we just did, correct? But if you start singing a Christmas song, even now, they're going to be able to know every single word, hit the pitch, and not even miss a beat because that's what they did for a lifetime, correct? And building anything in snow would remind her of her sister. She would probably ask for her sister. So it's got to be the touch, the feel, the smell. That's the closest thing to their memories. We tend to, as a society, we want to use our words. What'd you do this weekend? When you ask somebody with dementia, what'd you do this weekend? What's their reaction? I don't know. Short-term memory loss, you can even say, what'd you have for breakfast? What are they going to say? I didn't get any. I don't know. You can say you saw your brother this weekend. Did you have a good time? I haven't seen my brother in months. But we use in our words, and we're asking them to use their memory, their short-term memory, and you're setting them up to what when you ask them to use their short-term memory? Fail and confusion and frustration, because when they realize that they don't remember, then they realize what? Failure, something's wrong. Why can't I remember, correct? So whose responsibility is it to chat about, or simply not chat about, but play in the snow? Whose responsibility is it to bring them snow? Ours. Whose responsibility is it to take them to the pool and just watch the kids jump off? Ours. Whose responsibility is it to ride around on a bicycle? Not ours. Only if you want to. Not anymore. But you could have somebody ride around on a bicycle. It's our responsibility to trigger the moments in their memory that they still have. The moments in the memory that they still have. So they lose their short-term memory. They don't know what happened last weekend. They don't know what happened 10 years ago. But the positive side of this disease is they can tell you their sister's name, and they can tell you they sculpted the snow. Yes. All right. So the other thing about Alzheimer's that's more confusing, as this disease progresses, they lose more and more memory, and then they start getting younger in their mind. So like for my dad, he's asking my mom in the middle of winter, did we pay off the farm loan? Right? And the farm's been paid off for years. But he's worried about money, and do we have enough? And they have more than enough. Does that make sense? But he goes back to a time that was a really hard time or a really good time. They go back to that time, Every person goes back to a different time. And we've got to figure out, what time are they living in? What time are they living in? And so if they're constantly asking about their sister, and their sister's no longer living, right? But they're looking for their sister, and they're asking for their sister in the wintertime. How old do you think she is in her mind? Her particularly, based on what we'd heard. Last year. But teenager possibly, if you're in the disease, right? Teenager possibly, because that's when you played with your sister and you're looking for your sister. How old are you in your mind when you're looking for your mom? You're looking for your mom. You're looking for your mom. Because they will. They'll ask for their mom, right? And mom's no longer living. So how old do you think they are in their mind? Children, because that's when they went to church together. Yes. So you've got to figure out what age they're living in their mind, and then think to yourself, how can I make them feel like the world is okay right now? Because if they're constantly looking for their mama, and you go into your reality and say your mom's no longer living, she's not been living, how does that make them feel in that moment? Nobody said anything. Nobody told me. Or they're looking for their sister, and you say your sister's no longer living. How does that make them feel? Or your sister, you could even say your sister lives in Alabama. Right? How does that make them feel? Confused. They're like, Alabama, where's my sister? Nobody told me she moved to Alabama, right? They could be looking for their kids. And you might be great. And you say, yeah, Shirley lives in Connecticut and Robert lives in Rhode Island. Where are my kids, right? Because if they're looking for their kids, but they don't recognize their kids, then how old are they in their minds? 20s. Because they have little kids. Does this make sense? As the disease progresses, they lose more and more memory, so they're younger in their mind. So if you can grasp what time are they living in, then you're able to communicate, and now you can pull out pictures of their kids when they were 7, 8, and 9. Instead of last week, they sent you in the mail a picture of the family picture. And she's like, who is that? And you go, you remember, that's your grandson, Bart, and that's your... Where does the confusion go? The confusion goes up. Does that make sense? When you try to get them to remember the last year. But when you get them into the time, I can give my mom my memory back about myself, correct? But I see kids, when they come and visit, when they're with their parent, they want them to get it. They want them to go, Mom, you know who I am. What is my name? You know who I am. And kids will stop visiting because Mom's going to be nice to you for about 10 minutes, but then you got to go because you're not the kid she's looking for. Which kid is she looking for? The little kids. So if you're in that place, and it is further into the disease, but if you're in that place where they don't recognize you as a husband, they don't recognize you as a child, they don't recognize you, you're going to want to, like as a kid, bend down and maybe put your hair in pigtails and bring a picture of yourself when you are 7. Because you can say, oh my gosh, Jolene, she was a tomgirl. Yeah, and you tried to keep her out of the trees. Good luck. But she could play ball. She could kick her brothers. And you say ass or butt, depending on my mom's mood that day. But who's the best person to give me back to my mom? Me. But when you ask them a question, who is this cute little girl? Then you're setting them up to what? Fail, because not only do they have difficulty remembering, they have difficulty communicating. They have difficulty finding their words. So when you visit someone, when you're with someone, please erase all your words and bring in the picture, because that's the closest thing to their memory. Stop asking them, what'd you do this morning? Remember the drive I took you on yesterday? Get rid of all your words and come in and put maybe a doll that they gave you when you were growing up. Or the bicycle. You don't have to ride it. You can just have it there. Or you can put a ball cap on their head because you know that they love ball caps because you were on the same team. You rooted for the same team growing up. Does that make sense? Yes. Totally. Completely fluctuate, which is one day they're lucid, they want to drive the car, we're going for breakfast. The next day they're like, Do we still have a farm? Correct. So whose responsibility is it to talk about grandparents instead of grandchildren? Ours. Whose responsibility is it to talk about you as a little kid instead of you as I'm living in Connecticut now? Yours. So when you talk to them on the phone, make sure you don't say, hey, do you remember? Take that out of your vocabulary. But you could simply say, I rode my bike today. Yep. Down that gravel road. I know. I shouldn't be going that far. Yeah. And then you could give the childhood friend that you would have hung out with, because everybody remembers your childhood friend that you hung out with, and you want to only use the childhood friends that they liked, right? Not the ones they thought you were going to get in trouble with. Yes. But I talked to Crystal today. She's going to join me. Does that make sense? Who has all those details? We do, and it is our responsibility as their family members, as the people who love them, to give them their memory back. That's our responsibility. Any other questions? Yes. Yeah. Higher level. Totally. Correct. Correct. Which is why when you find something that works, you better put it in your back pocket. And then you find something else that works, and you better put it in your back pocket. And you find something else that works, you better put it in your back pocket. So when you said that, I instantly thought of when I'm with them, there's a cardboard box. There's just a cardboard box, and it's filled with stuff. And it's filled with stuff that I know that my mom would respond to. So let's just do your person, your wife, your mom, whoever. Let's go there. Let's just say you're caring for someone, correct? Your mom, your person. What would you put in a box to just let everybody know who they are? Or literally you're just putting this in their lap saying, look what I found in the attic. I don't know what's in here. So it doesn't matter what time they're living in their mind then at that point. It just means that you're giving them back to them. So let's ask you, if it's your wife, what are you putting in a box to let everybody know, or to let her know who she is again? What would you put in there? Photos. But photos of when? Way back. What else would you put in there? Xerox copy your photos, by the way, because everything will get lost. We do know that they hide everything. They put everything somewhere that you don't think they're going to put it. So, and everything can go down the toilet. Your toilet being clogged up is going to be a constant. Things like that, because they have this idea. They don't know where things belong. They don't know where things go, and it's amazing. They'll end up in your freezer or your oven or your toilet or whatever, but makes copies of pictures if they're the only ones you got. Yes. What else would you put in a box? Purse. And I wouldn't put that in the box, because here's the deal. If my mom doesn't have her purse, can she relax? We could say 50 times, I have your purse, I have your purse. It's okay, I'm keeping your purse safe. Does that make her feel safe? Again, it's not what we say. It's what they see, touch, feel, and smell. So you think to yourself, what gives them security? And for a woman, it's absolutely a purse. But for a man, it's what? Keys, wallet, change, pocket knife. The list is endless. Things they've had in their pockets for a lifetime. And now they don't have anything in their pockets because they can't drive anymore. Now they don't have their keys. They don't have money in their pocket because, they lose it. They'll just hand it to some waitress, whatever the case may be. But how does it feel if they go in their pockets and they don't have money and they don't have keys and they don't have that pocket knife that their grandpa gave to them? How would that feel for a man? Empty. And then we wonder why they're anxious, upset, or, I need to go, because they're not going to sit and listen to you when really, how many times do you guys check your pockets? How many times do you check your pockets? How many times? Admit. 450 times a day, every 3 seconds? Yes. So it's really important that we may think they forget, but they don't forget what gives them security. And for a woman, it's a purse and credit card and her ID. But for a man, it's a whole nother ball game. Now, all these things will get lost. right? So you have to have an extra set of keys, and you do not want them driving. This is the one I'm going to push today because it's personal. Here's what happens. On that lucid day, Dad wakes up, he says, let's go have breakfast, and he takes the keys and thinks he's going to drive. The new I was going to say Mercedes, but it is that, but my brother gave it to her, so we don't have that kind of money. But my point is, he can't drive a new car, but he doesn't think he can't. Who thinks he can? He does. So then when my mom says, you can't drive, who's he mad at? The confrontation happens between my mom, and if no one's there to protect my mom, then she feels obligated to get into the car, which she did. And I said, you cannot do that, but can I teach my mom new tricks? No. She's going to always think he's the man. I'm not going to buck him. I'm going to get in the car. And I'm like, how did you get home? And my dad's going back and forth in the driveway, not able to park it. I was grateful. But here's the deal. We can't wait for permission for mom or dad to go, hey, you know what? You can't drive anymore. But here's the thing. I told Dad he couldn't drive. So who's going to suffer the repercussions? Yep. And you know what? I'd rather be me than Mom. So I wish we would have gotten, if we were thinking, I wish we would have gotten the big neighbor guy, right? The big neighbor guy to come over, or, one of the policemen that they know so well that my mom taught in school. He would have come over and taken Dad's keys away. Does that make sense? But as long as my mom's doing it, forget it. Yes. Yes, the family doctor is great, too, to take the keys away. But it really shouldn't be the caregiver. Anytime you've got to do anything like that, it shouldn't be the person who's with them. It should be outside, yes. Let's go. Yep. Excellent. Which is excellent, though. You're over that. He says, I'm over that now. Right, you bumped your head because now you're not blaming it on Alzheimer's, which they don't even think there's anything wrong with them, correct? They don't know they have dementia. They don't know they have Alzheimer's. So when you try to blame it on Alzheimer's, good luck. They're going to fight you tooth and nail. But when you say I bumped your head, that's something that they relate to even as a 4-year-old child, right? You get concussion, you bump your head. Excellent. Well, it was a real story. Yep. Yeah. Why he's still at the long-term care. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So, excellent. That was his response, too. The doctors have a couple more tests, and we'll be doing them tomorrow. So we're on to another subject. When they say, I want to go home, wherever they're at, whether they're at home or they're in a community, correct? When they say, I want to go home, here's the thing you've got to realize. Even if you took them home, what are they going to want to do? Go home, because the home that they're looking for is when? And when the child, correct? So they're still going to continue to do the same things that they're doing, even if you took them home. And the guilt that we feel when they say, I'm done with that now, I want to go home. So you give them a reason to stay with you just a little bit longer. When anyone says, I want to go home, I just say, but I just put on a pot of coffee. And so then they stay another 15 minutes. And then after the coffee, I want to go home. We were going to read devotion in a little bit. And you've got to say these things like it's no big deal, because if you hesitate or you even squint your eyes a little bit, they're like, you're lying to me. I'm getting out of here, correct? So you got to be a really good actress or actor. And so even when they're at home, I want to go home. The church ladies dropped off. You can't do that either. You got to be steady. The church ladies dropped off mashed potatoes, roast beef. Why would I add the church ladies in front of almost all of my sentences when I want them to stay a little bit longer? It goes back to their Sunday school days, and in their generation, food was going to be good. Food is also free. Yep. And it would be what if you left, if church ladies brought you food? Rude. So you got to come up with those things that they know as children on how to be polite for another 15 minutes. Okay? But I want to go home after they eat. Men need to be working. They can't sit and listen to you gab. So if you're caring for a man, you're like, I really need you to, I need your help with this box. And the box is filled with feathers, but he moves the box from here to here, and then we move the box from here to here. Or I would say to my dad, would you help me move that chair? And we're moving it 1 inch. Does that make sense? But men need to be needed in order to stay with you a little bit longer. Women can gab, but men want food or to be needed or wanted or, hey, it's not that hard to get men to stay a little bit longer. We think it is, but the difficulty, again, as I've discovered, I can say all these things, I can do all these things, but I can't get my mom to do it. I can't get my mom to do it. And that's the part where it's been very, very frustrating because I'm just like, I'm going to let you know, as I've told my friends, I'm like, I feel incredibly helpless. I can know my entire book. I can have written, I can have done everything. But if my mom says, no, it's not Tuesday, it's Wednesday. No, you can't drive. No, we're not going to the Y today. We're going to the Y tomorrow. No, we're not. I'm like, stop it. You can't argue. Because if you argue with them to try to get to what day it is, what time it is, who's doing what when, you have an appointment, it's insane. I can't even, I'm like, this is insane to get my dad to get what's going on. You're trying to reason with someone who can't reason. And she's like, he doesn't think we have enough money, so he gets mad at her when she spends money. I said, you got to go to the bank, get a bank statement, show him there's $25,000 in the bank and say paid in full. And so that's the only thing. He's not going to listen to you as a woman. We have enough money. But if the banker says it, then you have enough money. Right? And the banker can be any man on the other end of the line. He can be the guy working on the car. He can be the banker. He can be the guy that's the policeman. He can be whoever you need him to be. I needed a guy on the other end of the line. And it's ultimately my oldest brother, who my dad won't buck. He will buck the rest of us. But if my oldest brother says you have enough money, guess what? We have enough money. But not until he says it. So, I want you to recognize as a woman, you have no control still. And you give them the illusion that they think they're right because it works. You just give them the illusion. You don't try to fix it. You don't try to change it. If you hear only one thing that I say today, and this is the hardest part, accept them, radical acceptance of who they are right now. Because you might as well go get your hair done instead of trying to reason with someone with dementia. It's a waste of energy to try to get them to get it that you can't drive. No, Mom, we hide the key. He gets exercise looking for the key. And you go, I don't know where it's at. Have no idea where the key's at. My dad walks around looking for the key. He gets upset, but he's not upset at Mom. Because he doesn't know she has it, but she has it. Does that make sense? But there's other keys he can look for, correct? And there's another car that he can, but he will never, at this point, find the key to the car that Mom drives. Never. They cannot have a driver's license. This is the stuff that blows me away. Mom's like, I'm like, call 911 if he gets in the car. She goes, but his driver's license is still valid. And I want to go, what are we doing? But in small rural communities, guess what they do? They know Julie, who's doing the driver's test, and my dad's quite a charmer, so he just doesn't even know if he's passing that test or not, but how are you? So then he gets another driver's license. Or the physician doesn't say no. And that's the other piece. Yes, because the physician's a guy, yes. And then we listen to the physician. But I will tell you, two circumstances, one of my best high school buddies literally was rammed straight on last year in a car wreck because of an older gentleman. The older gentleman didn't live and he doesn't have his legs, my friend. My point is, it's not something to mess with, and I'm not going to mess with it. Done. You can't wait for permission. It's not a choice. They cannot have the car. Don't sell the car, because if you sell the car, now dad's pissed because where's the car? Correct? So it sits out there, but you've got a mechanic who dismantled it and it does not run. The car that he wants to drive. Does that make sense? There's 2 cars out there. There's one he thinks he can drive, but it doesn't run. Okay? All right. I have to say that profoundly. It's not something to mess with. What we tend to do as family, we tend to wait. They're fine. You call them on the phone. They sound great. They're doing great. Mom says it's fine. You go live with them for 2 weeks. Then you tell me. So anyone who lives somewhere else who has an opinion about what should be happening and not happening, you go get your hair done. Because no one holds the truth except for people who are actually with them where they are giving the care. The only people who hold the truth are the ones who are actually giving the care. Everyone else has an opinion. They're going to tell you what they saw on the internet. They're going to tell you where you think you should do next. It's incredible. There's 6 kids, right? One sibling thinks they should go to assisted living. The next sibling thinks I should live upstairs. The next sibling thinks, let's just move them down to Arizona. It's like, really? I'm like, this is all in my book. I'm living my book. I'm living it. And then the other funny thing is, I don't have credibility. So if you are the caregiver, I'm sorry. Because people will question what you're doing and why you're doing it. As a caregiver, they will. Does that make sense? You really have to know and trust that you hold the truth because you're with them. Doctor doesn't hold more truth. Someone who stopped by doesn't hold more truth. Your kids don't hold more truth. If you're the one giving the care, guess who gets to make those decisions? You. And that's also very difficult because I don't want to be the one that says it's time. Mom, someone else needs to take care of him. It's time, because essentially what happens is the caregiver declines and the person with dementia kind of levels out. Because, the people who are suffering here are not the people with dementia. So what essentially happens is the caregiver declines, not the person with dementia. Because the people with dementia, they get to roll. They're oblivious to what's actually happening. The people who are suffering, the people who are hurting, the people who are thinking 24/7 twice as fast is the caregiver. And so my mom's not going to be able to say, hey, I think it's time for someone else to take care of dad as I watch her decline. Does that make sense? She's not going to be able to do that. My dad's not going to come up to one of us and say, hey, I don't think mom should do this anymore. Like, that's hilarious, right? You think they're going to come up to you and give you permission? No. So when I think about moving dad, you know who I look at? Not my dad. I look at my mom's well-being. And this winter was rough. But that's where I base my decision on, not my dad, my mom. Because I don't want to lose 2 people to this disease. Does that make sense? I don't want to lose you in this process. Your kids don't want to lose you in this process. And it's really hard to see, because my mom's fine. It's really hard for her to see that she's not. Does that make sense? And so we're almost there, is what I'm saying. And someone's going to have to make that tough decision, and I hope it's my oldest brother, because I just still want to be the good girl, right? Those are the people who can make the decisions, the ones who are still not giving the care. Does that make sense? The ones who my mom sees has authority. I will not ever have authority with my mom because I'm the baby. Does that make sense? Okay. Questions? Person with dementia. Correct. So she's basically talking about the early stages, the beginning part of anything. Physically, if they decline physically, it's harder on the person if they're cognitively well. Did you hear what she said? If they're cognitively well, it definitely is harder on the person because they know that they're declining. But if they're not mentally okay, correct? Normally they don't think there's anything wrong with them, and it depends on who they are the day when they wake up in the morning. You just never know what you're gonna get, right? Because it changes all the time mentally, their stability or their cognitive ability. Yes, and then that's harder on the caregiver. You are correct. Any other questions? But that's brilliant and logical. But you're a man's, right? But I want to go, good job, good job. Because not only did you say it, but it's honest. Because it's probably in all honesty, you cannot be the caregiver and take care of this big place all by yourself. And so she got that. She got the genuineness of that. And I bet she didn't buck you a bit. No. But for you to come to that place, yes. You want to tell them how long? Probably too long? Yeah. Yep. Yep. Because we always think we can. The idea, we always think we can. But on a day-to-day basis, you have to keep checking in and going, how am I doing? How am I doing? Because the stress level will drop you so fast. And then also, my mom doesn't think anybody else can do this. I'm like, my dad is the biggest flirt on the universe. So he's going to be just fine. But for me to get her to understand that, she feels like she's giving up on him. And you feel like you're giving up on your place, your homestead, that type of thing. But what takes more courage? What takes more courage to say, I can't do this anymore? That takes a lot of courage. And to make changes, it takes a lot of courage. So yes. It's funny though, I've always said that the caregiver always thinks they're the only one who can do this, and I'm going to say, I feel like I'm the only one who can do this. All winter I was like, I'm the only one that can do this. I'm the only one that can do this. Whoo. When you get away from what you're doing, from when you're caregiving, you realize how far you dropped. When you hold on to something so tightly and you make it so like, right? This takes a ton of energy, doesn't it? Because you just want it to be okay, correct? But when I got here, I was like, wow, I got to sleep. I'm tired. And I'm not here. You know what I mean? I'm not. Yeah, it's just interesting. To eat my words. You have to eat my own words. Anyone else have a question? Yeah. Yes. Yes. So there is a difference, but there's not, in my opinion, with what I'm conveying to you works with anybody and everybody, in my opinion, unless they have short-term memory. Alzheimer's, there's a way in which your brain dies, and the first thing that goes is your frontal lobe, which is your short-term memory, and then there's a process in which the brain dies. That's why it goes into stages. But if you've had a stroke, you've had multi-infarct, you've had Parkinson's, you've had alcohol dementia, you have hitting your head, all of those things cause losses, right? And so they blanket that as dementia. Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. And it's the one that people like to go to because it's all over the media, in my opinion, but I don't want to get facetious about that right now. Yeah. But when I'm talking to you today, it works whether it's dementia or whether it's Alzheimer's. Yeah. Okay. Yep. 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 Yep, he's at home right now while I'm here. Totally. That's on you. Right. 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 She is correct on that. That their development level in the early stages is that of an 8-year-old child, right? It's relative. Don't get too specific on this. Don't try to figure any of this out. Just roll with me. And as the disease progresses, their development level in the middle stages are that of a 3-year-old child. Not the age they believe they're living, but what they're actually, their judgment, their comprehension, what they're able to understand. And then as the disease progresses into the late stages, infant. The brain is dead. You know, they lose their inhibitions as your children gain, right? They lose as your child gains. So I got some confused faces looking back at me. So just to put this in perspective, if I said to you, what age did your child wear the same outfit every single day of the week? When did they start doing that? When you had kids? 5. Okay. What age is it when your child wants to put on purple, green, tutu, doesn't matter, dress themselves? 3. What age is it when your child loves to be naked, walks in this room right here, thinks nothing of it, and sticks their hiney out at you? Someone tell me when it ends. But the point is, a person with dementia in the early stages of this disease, they'll wear the same outfit every single day. They'll just wear the same thing because they like that outfit, and I don't have a problem with that. If nobody's physically getting hurt, let them wear whatever they want to wear every single day, correct? It drives caregivers crazy because it doesn't look good. Let's get to that reality. And then as the disease progresses, they'll put on a blouse underneath, bra on the outside, pants that don't fit, shoes that aren't theirs, but it doesn't matter because they dress themselves. And 3 coats, by the way, 3 coats. Okay, and then as the disease progresses, like my dad, he'll be naked walking around the house all day long, and it doesn't matter. Not even when I step in. Does that make sense? Okay, so they lose their inhibitions as children gain their inhibitions. So it is relative to realize what age are they in their mind, not the age they think they live in, but the development level of what they are in their mind. And usually when we move them and have someone else take care of them, usually it's a 3-year-old child. It's a 3-year-old child because they're having tantrums, right? Can't voice what they need, can't voice what they want. So who's more likely to hit my mom? Because that's their only way to communicate. Does that make sense? And incontinence, all of those things are development level. It's not an easy subject. I'm not even trying to make it, I'm not doing well. I need to lighten this one up a little bit because you're all like, whoo, too heavy with me. I apologize for that on some level because it has been heavy for me, and normally I'm not this. I'm super funny, but haven't seen that at all today. How long have I been caregiving? Only since September. Yeah, only since September. But I've been, like I said, I've been listening to caregivers for 26 years. And so the hardest part about is the helplessness. Because you're trying to fix something that's unfixable. You're trying to make something better, and it's not going to get better. You're trying to go to the doctor and get medications because you hope it'll help. Medications don't help. Research shows they don't help. So it's a helpless feeling that you're in because it's just a process. And today is different than it was yesterday. And you're like, what? And so it's kind of like, again, I'm going to go back to the point that I want you to take home. Radical acceptance of what is. What is happening right now? What is happening right now? Try not to buck it. Get on board. as best as you can. Get on board with them. So if they think they got to go to the store, you say, but I just put on a pot of coffee, because you don't want to go to the store. My mom doesn't have the energy to go to take dad for breakfast every time he says, I want to go to breakfast. I'm like, you don't have to take him to breakfast, right? Just say okay and start making some eggs. Do you see what I mean? Because they'll have thoughts come out their mouth that have been happening for a lifetime in their head. Does that make sense? Thoughts. It's like, I want to drive. Okay. So what I do with my dad, I basically, when we were in the car and he said, I want to drive. And I'm like, okay. And he got out of the car. There's a little bit more to this, but I said, okay. And he got out of the car and I actually drove away because he was getting physical on how he wanted to drive. But my point is, when you say okay, right, you're not asking for confrontation. You're not going to fight with them. I challenge any of you to fight with them. Give it this big guy, I challenge him. Go ahead, give it your best shot. Fight with them. Fight with them. Fight with the little 91-year woman. 91. She's tiny. She's this big. Go ahead. Give it your best shot. Never, ever. Good luck. It's going to take therapy. Fight with them. So you have to be wrong. That's going to take therapy. They have to feel like they're doing nothing wrong. Everything is perfectly right. Anything they do, anything they say is perfectly right. That's going to take a ton of therapy for some of you. But I'm telling you right now, if you choose to battle with them, you will lose on some level. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Water, 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 hydration. It's incredible the amount of dementia that comes through simply because even when you're cognitively well, if you're dehydrated, your brain shrinks. You need water, you need fat, you need oxygen for the brain to actually work. So diet and water, and also, so it's not a medical response for you, because I don't believe in that. I'm going to be honest. I believe in my mom getting out every day and breathing and walking as she always has, maintaining her routine outside of taking care of my dad. She's got to continue to take that, get outside, mow the yard, all of that stuff, and I got it. I got dad. Does that make sense? So that's going to keep her, in my opinion, from dementia earlier. She's going to be able to maintain herself if she continues to do the things that are stress-free. Now, if drinking at the end of the day reduces the stress, I'm all about it. Because that's a habit of a lifetime. So we can come along and say, you can't have that ice cream. You can't have that popcorn. You can't have that scotch. You can't have that. I'm like, if they've done it for a lifetime, I'm feeding my dad popcorn every night. Right? Because he'll eat popcorn, but if I make a meal, he gets angry because he doesn't like what we've made. Where does the stress level go? Up. Where does the functioning go? Down. So anytime I find something that reduces the stress level, that to me is stronger than medication. I know your brain didn't like that, but that's what it is, in my opinion. Anything that reduces the stress level, I don't care what it is, if it reduces the stress level, that's stronger than medication. And that means you saying, okay, instead of no, you can't. Does that make sense? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, it's too early to see, but I always like to give my opinions. Absolutely. Absolutely. The amount of stress, I can see it in people that I know. The fact that they're sitting in front of a TV, not socializing on a normal level, is definitely going to make my job easy, as in I'm going to stay in business for, I'm not doing anything right now. Does this make sense? But I know that the dementia is not going away anytime soon because of what we've just been through. Because the amount of stress, isolation, only TV, What they hear from others causes fear. When you have fear, you constrict, you get rigid, everything changes within your body. It's toxic. On the flip side, if the person has always been a hermit and done well by themselves, not going to be a problem if they shut off the TV. TV is not stimulation. It causes hallucinations. It causes behaviors. And this whole, I mean, I'm like, my mom like is happy when my dad watches 2 hours of TV because she doesn't have to deal with him. But you're going to have to deal with him as soon as he comes down off of that TV. And he's like mad about the government, mad about the president, mad about Russia, mad about everything that's going on. We all are, right? But we can control it because we cognitively can shut off the TV. You have to realize you will get dementia if you isolate yourself and only surround yourself with stuff that's on TV. It lowers your vibration, increases the stress level. You're more likely to get dementia if you are not getting out, eating well, and water. Huge advocate of water, electrolytes, water. You know what? My siblings asked me what I wanted for Christmas because I'm home, you know. They're like, what do you want? I want salmon and I want electrolytes. That's what I want. Salmon and electrolytes. I think I can sustain us all three if I have water, and salmon. Because literally, when you give my dad salmon, he's function higher just like that. And I'm not saying that's for everybody because what's good for you isn't good for you, right? I'm not implying that at all. But your diet matters. What you put in your mouth goes into your brain. It matters. And I'm not going to get medical on it because I don't have that degree. I don't have one anyway. But for sure. Absolutely. But it's not, it's basically... So my dad loves Lawrence Welk. My dad loves anything that's cowboys, whatever, all that stuff, right? But he has the controller. So it's really, really difficult. But if you say to my dad, the mail's here, he's up and out of his chair outside getting the mail. It's those little things, and I could say the mail's here 3 times a day. My mom only says it once, but I could say it 3 times a day. The mail's here, because he doesn't know that he got the mail 15 minutes ago. So what is the thing that they would get up out of their chair for? He would do newspaper, hands down. But then I'm like, great. Luckily, I'm in a rural community. The Globe Gazette always has a really nice front article. You know, it's a happy article. It's not a sad article. I don't know what you all got here, but I get very grateful for the mail. The mail is like stronger than medication. So what would be the reason? Maybe it's warm tapioca pudding, but it's away from the TV. You're not going in and just shutting off the TV. You're saying, hey, I made some popcorn. Would you like some? And then it's just, and somehow you got to get them away. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because my dad wants me to bring the popcorn to where he's sitting. So it's tricky. Yeah, any other questions? Yes? Yes. Honestly, it's not a conversation. I'm sorry, but it's not a choice and it's not a conversation. Because if you try to get into a conversation of, well, where do you want to live? And you know that, you're declining, where does the stress level go? And most of the time they can't even follow that conversation. It's not a conversation. It's something that one of your kids who's very internet savvy goes online, does the research for you, because my mom's not going to be online. She's not even going to have the energy to look for a place. That's going to have to be my sister, right, who's a nurse. She's all about it. She's already done the research. She knows where we're going, correct? But you've got to pick someone who has the energy and it's in their field, not in their field per se as you have to be a nurse, but in their realm of this is how they work daily anyway. And then when you get to that point, literally you get dad in the car, say we're going for breakfast. And you go, they have breakfast here. It's a new place today. And you walk in, and it cannot be, again, that you're reasoning with them. You live here now. This is your home. Because then what are they? I need to get out of here. You left me here. You did, right? And then he's going to be incredibly mad at my mom. So someone else does that, which could be my little brother, who's the favorite to my dad. He's the favorite. My little brother can do no wrong. Right, so that's my brother's taking him, and we're moving, and they don't get to see it. They don't see what's happening, because if they see it, if my dad's in the house and someone was working on the shower this winter, it was horrible. Horrible. The construction guy had to stop working on the shower because my dad escalated so fast. Okay? So they cannot see the transition or the change, because it's just, it's kind of like, it's funny, but we like to take them places like to family reunions, or, out shopping or whatever. The person who suffers the repercussions for the next 2 weeks is the caregivers, not the rest of the family. It's the caregivers, the one who's got to take them home. Because they're great, at the family reunion. Wow, they're doing great. Because they can act perfectly fine in front of the waitress, in front of the strangers. They're actually super nice to everybody else. But who suffers the repercussions? My mom or me. Because we got to deal with that for the next 2 weeks. I don't know if I have answered the question totally clearly, but moving to the next step, when you move someone, this is all in my book, by the way. All this stuff is in my book because this is a complicated step. You're going to pick up their place of comfort, which is different for every person, correct? My mom's is her little chair. My dad's is his big chair. You're going to move their bed and everything around it if you can. If you can't move the bed, you at least move the end table that he's always had next to the table. Anything that's in the table's got to stay in the table, and everything will get lost wherever you move it to. Everything gets lost. Don't think you're going to be able to find anything at any point. So you take a picture of all the things that they have next to their bed, because your whole goal is, I'm not going to try to mix up their routine. I'm going to pick their place of comfort up, take a picture of it, pick their bed up, everything around it, take a picture of it, then take the greatness, what they're really good at, which my dad's really good at fishing. I'm going to take his fishing room, right? The pictures on the wall and all that stuff. I'm going to take that, pick that up, and I'm going to move it into the room as close as I possibly can. Because even if I remove the end table and I take that out, and then the other end table I put on the right-hand side, but it's always been on the left-hand side. Oh, wait a minute. Now he's getting out on the left-hand side of the bed, but he's always gotten out on the right-hand side of the bed. Oh, wait a minute. Do you see what I mean? Their body will remember how it maneuvers, even if their brain can't. Their body will go in the same way that it's been going for a lifetime, even if their brain can't remember. So you've got to put the bed so they can still get out on the same side that they've always gotten out of, and the comforter that they've always had, even though it looks horrible, and you're like, oh, I want to go get her a new one. Don't get them new stuff, because then it'll never be a place that they can relax. That's all in my book, so it's quite detailed on how to move somebody with dementia. Yeah. I'm not telling you. I'm a pretty isolated private person myself, so good try. Good effort. Yeah, Julie just kind of somewhere, I don't know how she catches me, but she does. And then I got to go, well, I am coming home in 2 weeks, so this is my one presentation. I haven't spoke for a couple years, so because obviously, planes and things like that, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to go. And they're not having conferences either. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yep. 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 I gotcha. Say no more. Yep. It's pretty simple. So it's not simple, but the fact that you're here, bravo. Because so many people don't show up in the early stages because they think they got this. So you're going to be able to prepare in a way that's probably going to help the entire process. So number one, you've got to write down, communicate, get the book, write down in the book, whatever that may be, but you've got to put down on paper your wife's habits of a lifetime, how your wife moves through life, what calms her down, what sets her off, what to say, what not to say, because you're learning all that right now. You're learning all that right now. But you have to write down in a simple notebook, I don't really care, because if something happens to you, we need that information. Because I haven't been living with my parents for 40 years. Who's been living with this person for 60 years? Now my parents are together, been 60 years. I haven't been with them for 40 years. I have no clue how my dad rolls. After 6 months, I got more clues. But do you see how that information is so imperative in case something happens to you or in case you've got to move here? You are slowly just gathering information about Like for my dad, you wouldn't talk about his dad because he doesn't like his dad, correct? I mean, there are people they don't want to talk about and they don't like them. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So we need to know that information. Collecting 10 of anything that gives her security because she'll start losing things. So possibly you might just, have her stock up on purses, even though you probably think she's already got too many, because that's the thing that gives her security. So really you're just thinking about how does she walk through life and just, how else would I say that? It's just so important, and I think people miss that nugget. Give me something specific. Oh. Cool beans, that's cool. Yeah. Too far down. Is she alone or does she have a partner? Yeah. 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 Cool beans, because I don't want anybody else but my brother doing care for me either. Meaning, I love my brother. My brother knows me better than my partner knows me. Does that make sense? So, when I get together and Neil's voice, he just speaks, I calm down. Because I'm like, we've been like this for a lifetime. And hearing his voice, I'm like, he's like, we're going to go hiking tomorrow. I'm like, thank you, I just need to go hiking tomorrow. Like, he knows what calms me down. And you know what calms her down because you grew up with her. You grew up with her. So you weren't ever close to her? Is she 10 years older then? Is that what you're saying? Okay, so that puts a distance in between there. But is there any way you can gather this information? How many siblings you got? Okay. Yeah, she's got 3 siblings? Yes. So basically, you're all getting together and go, who is she? Who is she? And let's send mail in the mail so the kids know who she is, or anybody who stops by knows who she is. So you're putting pictures in the mail, you're putting things that you found in your garage and your attic, and you're putting it in the mail, and you're putting a story with it, so other people can give them their memory back because you're not living with her. And so you're just kind of like, the greatest gift we could give them is to let everybody know who they are. And we assume everybody else should know who they are. They work with people with dementia, Alzheimer's. The fact that they have to have a pink sweater and they got to have these high heel shoes. I can't even tell you how many emails I get where like, she won't give up her heels. How do I get my mom or my sister to give up her heels? You don't. She wears heels. That's it. Period. End of story. Go get her 10 more. But she's still going to wear the one that she's been wearing for 40 years. So there's lingo in family. There's the way we walk. We might pray before we eat. What's the prayer you say before you eat when you were kids? So you got to understand she's going to regress back to that childhood. And there's things that were culturally intact in your family only. Correct? My family, we don't hug. I'm going to fucking kick your ass if you mess with me. Did that go over well with you?
We're not that.
No. Right, exactly. But that's my point. That's my point. Because that makes you feel uncomfortable, correct? When I do that. But this is how we are in our family. We're very athletic. We're very dominating. And you don't mess with us. And when my dad comes at me, I got to be that way. Does that make sense? I'm like, no. Not. And I got to hold my dad down because that's how we were brought up. And that's lingo. Does that make sense? There's no judgment here. But you look at me like it's not important. Like, you're like, it's just my sister. I'm like, holy, it's your sister. Like, she's got a sibling left on this earth that can tell everybody who she is, kind of. And it's relevant.
I see that.
Yes.
Where I'm trying to get at is in the helping siblings
Your siblings or?
her children.
Okay. Okay. That's all right.
That have their own dynamics
Yes.
that aren't taking independent responsibility. I'm trying to get to the point where I want to get them administratively taken care of so they can work into this. And it's a 6-month project that's
Yours.
at a snail's pace.
You're trying to get administratively so you get everything lined up to get where? Yeah, that's not going to happen. That's,
I said hopefully. That's the caveat in it.
yeah, you got to. So here's the deal on this. Everybody goes through this journey completely different. There's going to be people who want to be involved, and there's going to be people who aren't going to want to be involved. And I'm going to tell you, the family ends up usually not being the kids. You have outside people who are more willing to process this and do this, and it's outside the kids. So even within my family, there's 6 of us, right? You would think, right? But everybody's busy. I'm the only one who doesn't have a job, so I'm like, okay, I'm in. But there's 2 brothers who live in different states, and they might even be next door, but they still got a farm. They don't have the energy to do what you can do right now because you're retired. And I say, do what you can do, but please don't have any expectations on what their responsibility is. Yeah.
It's not easy to deal with anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say then just have this of self, right? Have this of self and say, I'm going to do this next. And I'm going to do this next. And I'm going to make a list of how others can help and how others can contribute. And then give them that, right? You'd say, here's a list of 10 things that would be super helpful. And if they take them, great. And if they don't, great. Yeah. So administratively, that's how I would roll with that, with an email or something like that, that you are very clear on where you need help, what you would like. And if they do that, great. If they don't, great. But you're not telling and you're not, Yeah. Yeah. And then just of self, just say of self, like literally this, I had to do this too. I'm like, I'm here. Yay! Literally, you have to even just go, I haven't done anything. I haven't physically, mentally done anything, but I exist on the farm. My feet are here on this farm. And that's a lot. Just to be in the journey with the person doesn't mean I have to be in the house. I already said I'm not doing personal care. I'm not doing any of those things that mom's doing. Does that make sense? I've defined my lines. You define your lines. But you've got to give yourself kudos for being here and being here. Just your presence in the process is going to be helpful if you're not expecting others to jump on board with you. Yeah. I can make requests of my brother, my oldest brother, who participates, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen. Yeah. Yeah. It's rough because we get angry, right? I have a lot of resentment. You get angry for the ones who are not participating, or even they, don't have any, no input, no nothing. But on the flip side, I always think, I'm glad they all live 3 hours away, because if they told me their opinion about what should happen and we did alternate, and one came up this month and one came up that month, that would be havoc. So at least there's some routine that is just me, and they are on the peripheral if I need them. Yeah. It's really weird what your mind does to it. You want to be the victim. You want to be the martyr. You want to go, I'm the only one. No one else will do anything. But really, underneath that, you're like, whew, I don't have to argue with anybody else but myself. And I don't need to participate and tell them everything that I'm doing because I don't want to. Because this is hard enough just to do it, just to be here. So you got to make sure you keep yourself out of the victim mode. Because, it comes in pretty fast. Yep. Oh, you didn't have a thought? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Can we go here first and then go there? Because I saw hers.
Touching on this guy and a little bit on you, what has helped me with family members with dementia,
Yeah.
it's just black and white. Safety is the number one issue. That could be physically, mentally, financially.
Yeah.
And then you got to be okay with it.
Yep.
And it's not your fault that your loved one has dementia. And it's not their fault. But safety is number one.
But did you hear the 3 categories, which I think are very valid? Financially, mentally, physically, safety. And you got to, it's really, that's good. I think administratively you could work with that. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think that's doable because that's just categorizing. You're not trying to wrap the whole picture up and make it look better. You're just saying, okay, these are my 3. How do I get there? Yep. And financially, again, you got to pick someone who's good financially. So again, financially, that's my oldest brother. Snap, he does it effortlessly. I don't even look at my bank account. Don't care what's in there. Doesn't matter to me. My sister, physically, she's like, what medications are they on? All that stuff. I've never even thought about medications. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. But I'm there. I can be there. That's what Jolene does. My dad says, when are you going to leave? Almost every day. Because he's over it. And I say, I'm going to leave tomorrow, whatever the case may be. But that's the reality of that, too. But I'm there for Mom. I'm there to make sure that my mom is okay. And I am caregiving for my mom as she caregives for my dad. Yeah. Yeah. The YMCA. Oh. Yeah. No. And I refuse to. I'm not in. Again, I think I know it all, but so the biggest support for me has been the YMCA because I'm not thinking about caregiving. I have a different approach than you. I don't want to talk about it. In fact, I've struggled to do today because I'm on vacation. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. And I don't want to talk to anybody else about it. I'm like over the conversation. I just want a glass of wine. I just want to sing and I just want to be with you. And I just want to hang out with my kids. So there is this place for caregivers that you not talking about it is respite and very, very healthy for them. So that's what community is. And that's the YMCA in where we are. And everybody has a different place. But I can take my dad to the YMCA. He's got 3 people who know who he is. I can go play pickleball. He hangs out at the front thing. My mom stays home and just rests. Yeah, that's been our community. It's pretty simple. It's the Y or breakfast. Literally 2 things. And it's enough. It's enough. You don't want, again, you're not trying to get them healthy. You're not trying to get them back. You're basically saying, what have they been doing for a lifetime? And how can I maintain that with them? I'm not interfering with what they got going on in a relationship. I'm not interfering with how they work dynamically. As much as I can, I'm just observing it and making sure nobody gets hurt. Safety. But I'm not here to judge what's happening, what's not happening. I'm just trying to maintain the lifestyle that they've created and continue, because they've always gone to the Y, and they've always gone for breakfast, and they've always gone out for Chinese. That's number 3. I forgot about the Chinese. So you really, if you're stepping in, please don't step in. Stay back here for a bit and just watch how they roll out on their own, because you don't want to interfere. The greatest other gift, the less we interfere with their lifestyle, the longer they'll be able to maintain it. The less we interfere with their lifestyle, the longer they'll be able to maintain self. Whether you agree with it or not, it's not your call. Yeah. Yeah. Whew. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Sorry. You got to. I've not heard that before, so I would have it and unblocked. Huh. The military has a form called third-party authorization. Uh-huh. And that's for financial. You can get health, durable power of attorney for health and living will. Uh-huh. There's another thing that is for anything financial. And if you don't have their wishes before they get diagnosed, oh, so the system doesn't really know it, but you got down to the truth of it, and that's what they denied you. Veterans Home here is a state-run and owned facility, but all the patients, residents are veterans. They don't Also pick the battle that you want, though. Pick the battle that you want to be a part of, because you can't spread yourself thin. Like I said, I'm very boundary. Like, I'm there for mom, and I'm not there for anybody else. So identify who you are and how you want to participate, because the exhaustion comes from trying to figure it all out. That's where the exhaustion comes from. So when you said administration, I thought that was brilliant, because that's your cube. That's the part that's your battle. That's the one that you want to do. I wouldn't want that one, because I'm not good at it and I don't really want it. See what I mean? We all have gifts. Pick which one you want to battle. Yeah. Any other questions?
So I'm the youngest.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister, the third oldest, working full time, and she just moved my mother in with her.
She's working full time.
My sister's working full time. Her husband's a pastor.
Mm.
My mother's now 96.
Mm. Mm.
So, and that's in Ohio. And I'm thinking, I'm listening to you, and I'm thinking, well, how can I be a help to the caregiver, my sister?
Mm. Mm.
This far away. And it sounds like what I need to do is, what are my gifts? How can I contribute?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to overstep.
Mm-hmm. What'd you come up with?
Well, I mean, this is so timely. I thought I was just here for my friend. And I know this is for me. Because I just
Good
wrote
job.
this email yesterday to my siblings and just saying, these are the things, after talking to my sister,
Mm-hmm.
okay, these are the things that we need to be thinking of for how we can assist my sister
Mm.
and just monetarily.
Yes.
A lot of things.
Holy.
So I'm coming up with this, and then I'm going there in a few weeks, and we're going to take my sister and brother-in-law out for 2 days and have somebody coming in.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm wondering, does your book have suggestions as well?
On how to help the caregiver? Absolutely. But it's your sister's responsibility. I don't know how long she's been integrated with your mom. Long time. So she knows. So you're the gap keeper is kind of what I call it. You're the information transfer, whatever. If I feel like that, because you did that. You wrote an email to everybody. But your sister's got to basically just identify the top 10 needs that they have. She's just got to identify what that is, whether that's like HelloFresh was number one for me. I need to have food delivered to the house, because I'm not going to the grocery store. My mom has difficulty even leaving dad for a minute. So HelloFresh was a thing that's in the budget now. Or maybe your sister says housekeeper. That was one of the first things when I also got there. I'm like, Mom, you're not doing this anymore. You're not picking up that vacuum. So we have a housekeeper, correct? So I'm identifying what we need. And then again, I communicated with all of the siblings on what I need. And they were like, why do you need electrolytes and water? I'm like, have you drank the water here? It makes my hair orange, right? It's rusty. So they may not understand, because they can have access to water every single day. But as a caregiver, I thought I was going to die if I didn't get water or coconut water. So I actually asked for coconut water, because I wanted coconut water, and you can't get it in the area that I'm in. So not having the foods that, or should I say, it took 3 months to establish the foods that I would eat. But I don't think you have that. But do you see my point? Is your sister's got to communicate just basically the top 10 needs that they have, and then you're just sharing it with everyone, and anyone can help with that. Yeah. But like the other one was someone to come in on a regular basis. And so my sister found Jessica to come in, because she knows, she's really good at getting on and finding a caregiver, where I don't know, I haven't been in Iowa for 40 years. So I don't know who lives there. I don't know who's still there. I don't know, but she's got her connections still established. So she was able to find a caregiver who comes in every week to give mom respite. And now we also have like guys that take dad driving. My sister did that as well, because that's what we need, someone to be with them so my mom can continue her life. So someone to be with so your sister can continue her life. Yeah, it's rough. I'm like, I don't know how caregivers did this. Like, literally, I have a whole new respect for caregivers. I can't even almost last 24 hours. Like, sometimes I need you know what I mean? Like, and they're doing 24/7. And I'm out 24 hours. I'm out. I'm like, dude, I got to go take a nap. So recognize, here's the other thing that I wanted, appreciation. I wanted appreciation from my siblings for what I was doing, not questions. Why I was doing it. I want appreciation. And so the gifts, in my opinion, go to your sister, not to your mom, who's doing the work. But that's just me. Like you say, you know what? Go see your son. I got all these frequent flyer miles. Go see your son wherever he lives. I don't know if she has kids, but I miss my kids, right? And I wish someone would have said, go see your kids. But I have to do those expenses all by myself, So be the gap keeper on just sitting. Are you close? Oh, see, then you don't have a problem. I always hesitate because yeah, if you're super close, you're going to be just fine. Yeah, and you're just going to say, you can even, there's a questionnaire in there too, whatever, but you can even just 10 things that you need, and give her some ideas, because she's not going to go all out possibly. She's going to maybe just a few groceries. No, you're like, no, you want some things delivered to your front door on Thursday, Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, right? Because she's going to take the bare minimums and you're going to give her permission. We appreciate what you're doing. So whatever it is, if you don't want to cook, if you don't want to clean, if you don't want to whatever, yeah, you're welcome. Yep. Any other questions or comments? Because we can kind of wrap it up if you want to, because I feel like.
No, we would actually like to take 5 minutes because we have a lot of questions coming in through the.
We do? Okay.
And so we'll just take like 5 minutes, and we can all just kind of look around at all of the. This question. We'll come right back to answer those questions.
Which would be a really good time too if you want to book today. It's 15 and I don't have my square with me, so I can punch it in the keypad, do it really slow, but if you have a check or cash, I would totally take check or cash today if you want to book. And then this little book right here is on how to visit. This is what to send people who are just stopping by. You know what I mean? The neighbor, the other siblings, people who don't really understand how to do this, because people stop visiting because they don't know how. So that's what I have up here, those 2 little booklets. So, and I will sign your book if you want me to. But we're going to come back at 2:35, take a break. And you don't have to come back either, because you're
You do not.
Thank you, IT guy. Whoops, let me answer that question again. Sorry, thanks. I didn't flip it. I think these have batteries all the time, so I don't know. I shut them off. Enhancedmoments.com or Jolene Brackey, but enhancedmoments.com is my website. And if you want a quantity of books, that's the way to go because there's discount on quantity. You can also email me directly. I always say that and I go, well, I don't really know when I'm going to get back to you. But Jolene I'm not good at that at all. Jolene at enhancedmoments.com. But I am on vacation. So we're going to keep that maintained for a little while. Yes. How did I get started? Well, activities in a Alzheimer's community in Portland, Oregon. I had no idea. I was only 22. Didn't know what I was doing. Just knew that I wanted to hang out with older people because I'm kind of fun. You didn't get that today, but I am kind of fun. I'm the party girl, the one that shows up. But I realized how so many people were seeing it as a negative. And I also realized how many people are causing the behaviors. We are the problem. And that's what I was recognizing. And media at that point wanted to make Alzheimer's the problem. And that it was just, they have behaviors, they're going to be combative, sundowning. I mean, it was just a negative rap. And so my agreement with self was to change the way the masses thought about it, because I would prefer to hang out with people with dementia, not my father per se, because I think that's a different dynamic. But I love hanging out with people with dementia. They're funny, they're honest, they're spot on. They'll tell you things about yourself no one else would probably tell you. So truth tellers and I appreciate that. I appreciate the loss of inhibitions because that's where I learn when people don't have their inhibitions. Because we cognitive people, we can be like, hi, I'm fine, and we hide it. No, yeah, stuff it, change it. People with dementia can't do that. So you learn a lot of life skills, and the life skills you learn from people with dementia actually work in life. If they're mad, they're mad. You got to figure out how to deal with that. If they're sad, if they're reliving a traumatic moment, you got to figure out how to console them. And those techniques work if we allow them to with the masses. But we're so, yep. That's how I kind of got started. But basically, I just, I did Rotary clubs and all of that kind of churches and Rotary clubs in the beginning. And then, call for presentations at conferences. And I just was trying to get the message out there and it just sailed. Yeah. But I'm definitely what's the word? I make things light that are pretty heavy. That's my gift. So, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. So the question was, my husband is delusional, and so he feels like he's got to go out at night, especially at night, and go get money off the highway, off the freeway. And so it doesn't really matter the thought process. It's the fact that he thinks he has to leave, which makes her unsafe because she's the one saying, no, you can't go. So they don't learn new things. So caregivers put locks to the outside or up high. So literally he can't, it's like the door is jammed and you're like, I don't know why it's jammed, but it's either locked up here or caregivers have put the locks on the outside of the house, not the inside of the house. So I don't know where you live, but literally that's the only way I know to keep someone from not going outside, because it's the middle of winter and my dad will go outside. And that's not uncommon. They have no temperature gauge. Yes. And when it is really cold outside, 90% of the time, my dad will go like this, and then he'll feel it, which gives him the idea. So we're not telling him, right? So we didn't have to say anything. But on that 5%, I mean, he was out there and we're like, where'd dad go? You know, and he would be outside. So it depends on the person. But the other thing that is imperative for caregivers, period, you need a safe room. You need a safe room. Because at some point I also had to let go of my dad's safety and say mom and I's safety is more important right now. Because he's going to be mad no matter where he is, and he's going to do what he wants to do no matter what I say. And so I built a little house, but prior to that, I could not believe there was not a room in the house that had a lock on it. Because my mom is so used to that, with my dad systematically being angry and aggressive and that kind of thing, that it didn't faze her. And I'm like, there's not a room in the house with a lock on. So that was one of the first things I did too, was make sure that the bathroom, there's a lock on it. So my mom's safe, even though I'm not there. I need you to be safe. You're not hearing me. I need you to be safe. I keep talking with my mom, but I need to talk to you. Okay. I need to talk to you. Totally. Yes, and then it's autopilot and they're in a trigger and you have no control. You have to recognize you have no control. So the other thing is remove all guns, remove anything that could be, and you think he never would do that. It doesn't matter. The brain is snapping. The brain is snapping. They're not able to process this is not okay when they're in a trigger. And if you try to stop, they're going to hurt you. So again, you've got to have a safe place. That also means a car, so you can leave or whatever. But at some point, you got to say, my safety is more important right now. And so when I'm not with my mom right now, we've all instructed her, just leave, get in the car. Yeah, no, she has to, because if she stays there, she's going to end up in the hospital. If you stay there, I lose you. You can't stop when they're in a trigger. You can't stop them when they're in a trigger. And I can't take your safety at risk because you are their lifeline, right? So you've got to leave, and he's going to do whatever he's going to do. Dad breaks dishes, things are thrown, whatever the case may be. I'm just saying, it's all, number one, safe place in the house, safe place out of the house. Someplace, safe place in the house, and safe place out of the house. And it is the dementia that escalates. It's so fast and unpredictable. There's a lot of brain stuff going on that we can't even figure out or de-escalate. It's a snap. And you have to be ready for that. So the keys that are in the car, only mom knows where they are. But they're always in the car, so she can go get away. Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I built a little tiny house because I wanted my safety and I wanted mom's safety. So that's now the third place of safety, because my dad goes there to de-escalate and my mom goes there for safety and to relax, of course. But do you see what I mean? They have a separate, and I'm not asking you to do that, but I think that's also another really brilliant idea, because to help my dad get away from my mom, because essentially I could see my mom was doing things and saying things that actually escalated him. So they needed to be separated. Really? So you're going to have a different day today as soon as you get home. Yeah, so look at me.
I'm an arguer trying to figure out, explain.
Can we put a zipper on your lips? Like when she does that, you're just like.
I've tried to tell her not to.
It's hard not to,
Because you can.
first of all, that's your spouse. You're used to talking to them,
Yep.
and so you start to talk to them, saying something else, and it's hard not to just
React.
them and explain, and you kind of have this feeling if you keep telling them the truth,
Good. Good. You got that it didn't, because that was my next question. No matter how many times you try to get him to get it, does he get it? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. Nice. Did you catch that? Yep. Oh, well, if it's tasty. So here's the deal. When you have the inkling to correct him, when you have the inkling to try to reason with him, I want you to ask yourself this question. What he's doing right now, is it hurting me physically? And if it's not hurting you and it's not hurting anybody physically, guess what I want? Yeah. And that's a rightful hope. And that's a rightful hope. And that's why we correct him. Because if we think, if I just get him to get it, I will get him back. Yeah. That's the roughest part, which is why I say it's harder on you than it is on him. Because you're living that nightmare of, I just want him back. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. But it's a rightful hope, okay? It's a rightful hope. But it also lets me know when you say that, right, that someone else won't want that from him. Do you see what I mean? Someone else won't want that from him. So if you can give yourself a break and do something that really fulfills you or juices you or makes you feel better and let someone else hang out with him, someone else won't want that from him. And that's where half the stress comes from, is he knows that you want him back. And he's doing the best he can with the abilities he has left, and he can't. So there's that stress that he continually, yeah. But someone else would be like, hey, I don't, go ahead and swear, go outside, I'll walk with you. I'm mad too, let's get out of here. Yes. Yes. Right. 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 And that is the dilemma of the spouse compared to anybody else. That's the dilemma of the spouse. Yeah. When they tell you stories, the hallucination is if they're in their hallucinations, if they feel safe, basically, if they are just telling you a story that there's a ton of kids here today and I told them to get out of the house and they wouldn't leave and and you don't even have to understand the story and go, huh, wow. But you're responding to the emotion, not the words, because the story is all off, right? Facts are all off, but how he feels is on. Is spot on. So if you walk in and he's like, they took my mattress. They came over and they stole my mattress and I'm gonna and you're like, that shouldn't happen. I'm gonna call the cops, right? You don't go call the cops, but he sees that you took his anger seriously. Because if you try to say that they didn't take your mattress, why would they want your mattress? He's like, you're on their team. Like underneath, now he's mad at you because you're not even on my side, right? So when he's mad about something, you're mad about something. I can't believe they did that, right? And when he's scared about something, then you're just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. So you become his protector kind of thing. But you have to go with the emotions that he's having, not the story. Yeah, the emotions are true. The story is not. Yeah. You're welcome. It is wholly hard. It is so not easy. I think I cried for 3 weeks going, I don't know what I've been talking about for 26 years because this is not. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. And it's okay to have that feeling too, right? That you just step out and go for a walk. You just step out. You have to. Congratulations. Congratulations. So it's your first day out with home care. Someone else is actually there. So here's the deal. Expect him to not like it. But here's the thing. totally for other people. He'd be fine with those cute girls that are just standing over there. But he's going to want to, there's a lot of men who want to make you feel guilty that you left. Anytime my dad thinks my mom left, right, he's just like, where have you been? You haven't been home all day, which is not true. But point is, my mom still has to go because he's going to be mad either way. And he makes my mom feel bad, but he loves Jessica. Him and Jessica banter. They talk about what they're going to buy and what car they're going to get. And da, 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 da. He's great with Jessica, but he won't let on that with my mom. So I don't know if that's the dynamic there, but I'm lovely that you know that he's great with other people. They are so great with strangers and people that they don't know. Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's a chapter in the book. It's called "They Look Great." That's the title of the chapter. They look great. You must be doing great. He's great because he'll be nice to everybody else. But as soon as that door shuts, bleh, all over you. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah. Thank you for being honest. Yep, that's difficult. Yes. Yeah, caregiving in general. Yeah. That's why I say it doesn't really matter. It's in parenting. People have come up to me all the time and said this would work as a parent because my teenage daughter. I mean, I literally was like, "Gosh, I can hang out with older people, but right?" And they were like, "Just do this stuff in your book with your teenage daughter. Never fight with her." I'm like, "What? No." I mean, it was, so it's true. It's, in fact, it's just, you don't want to fight anybody and you want them to think like you're on their team because you're together, right? You got his back and that's what you've agreed upon. And so he's got to feel like you're on my team too, right? No matter if it makes sense to you or not. And my daughter needed to feel that I was on her team, but I wasn't because she's being irrational. And I wanted her to get it, that stop, But everybody else saw my daughter's smart and lovely and gorgeous, and she's so helpful. And I'm like, because you just feel like it's alone. You're alone in the game because they're nice to everybody else. Yeah, so thank you for recognizing that because I think that's wisdom. Recognizing that the tools that you heard today or whatever, it works with a lot of people, not just people with Alzheimer's. Yeah. All right. One more and then we're going to wrap it up. Oof. You want to answer that one? When you say something? Yeah. So, how do you deal with guilt? You say something unnecessarily mean and then you regret it later. Like, I told you 10 times, or like, stop being an ass, or, whatever. I haven't figured this one out yet, actually, probably. So the thing that I tend to do, and I don't know if it works for everybody, but I actually replay it in my head. If I feel like I'm in the wrong or whatever, if I've done something that I'm like, God, I should have done this instead of that, et cetera, and I'm beating myself up over it, I will replay the situation, and I will think about the information that I had in that moment, in that situation, and I will think about, I was tired or ate sugar or whatever. I'll just think about it. And I'll be like, you know what? Given that point right there, I would have done probably the exact same thing again. Meaning I give myself a bit of forgiveness, recognizing that I'm human. And if it would have been replayed with the exact same circumstances, I'd have done the same thing because that's who I am. And so I'm not going to be nice to my dad. We just don't get along. We've always fought, right? So I sometimes question if I should even be there, correct? Because historically. Oh yeah, they forget it. You don't. Oh my God. Oh my. Like that's the other thing on not having guilt, because literally, right? And the next day I'm wearing this outfit and my dad does not compliment ever, but he's like, that looks nice on you. And I'm like, what? Like, I wanted to just flip because I'm like, do you not know how you treated me last night? Like, you just want to like wring their necks. In reality, they have no concept of what happened, what was said, what was done. And the next day it's gone. And then he's mad that I made him eggs for breakfast. So, anyone else? I don't have any ideas for guilt. Anybody else have any ideas for guilt? What? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm. Ah. So someone else's permission to say, yeah, you met. Yeah. Yeah. And it just came to me, but here's the other one, say I'm sorry. Even if they don't remember, if you want to dissipate a fight really fast with your husband, just say, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Right? That's in the book too, but I don't go to that one first. I always go to it last. Sorry. I'm sorry I misunderstood. I'm sorry I reacted that way. Because it's not in my vocabulary to say that. So that's good practice, even though it's really hard. Also, that it's just this forgiveness of self that we're continually evolving into how to do that better. I think even with this whole thing going on in all of life, it's just like, I don't really know. I'm going to be quiet because I don't really know how to deal with that one. Anywho, I so appreciate your comments and your contribution. Thank you. You're welcome.
Oh, so the exciting thing is, get over. After we get everything wrapped up here, we're actually going to steal her to our office, and we're going to have another hour with her on our podcast.
45 minutes.
2 hours. We could talk all day. But
She really knows how to set boundaries.
yeah. So with the questions that are online, and please fill out the forms and fill out questions because we can ask her those because we could talk all day, right? We could talk about every single topic, more about diversion, about all of it. And there's just not enough time to cover all of that. But wow, thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for coming.